qualified first again. As we expected, we did very good in qualifying, but then we dropped places behind after a few laps. It's the same story that our car doesn't have the pace to compete with others. We weren't expecting everyone to be so competitive at the start of the season. Otherwise, we've done this testing and do other things, so we have been able to gain points more early on. The race highlight is mostly at the end of the race this time. You can see we were 7th place, and it's like we finished 7th, it will be quite good. But then you see that we just got overtaken by someone, and then we get overtaken again to 9th place, and at this point you'll think it's probably all done and we're going to finish 9th, it's going to be so bad, I'm not going to gain any points. But then something shocking happened after that. You can see some of the top people are pitting, and they are doing like the 2 or 3 stops, and they are making extra pit stop where they should not have. First person to make the pit stop was Joseph. He's supposed to do a 1 stop, but then he accidentally set a strategy to not have enough fuel. So I don't know what's going on here. The next person is Eric to make a pit stop for no reason. And Tsukanu also made an extra pit stop for no reason. So it doesn't make sense that to make this sort of dumb mistake and not have enough fuel for the last few laps. You can see if you pit on lap 66, it kind of makes sense that you've made some sort of mistake, but normally this kind of mistake isn't acceptable, and it's quite bad if you ever make this kind of mistakes. People who are just highlighted in orange, they just made this mistake and not have enough fuel and have to pit in the last few laps, or their tires ran out, and they're not new to the game and you should never make these mistakes. I think they should just rage quit and just give up. Only takes 1 or 2 of these mistakes to run an entire season, but sometimes you might be short on points, and you can't make this kind of mistakes if you want to promote to the next class amateur, or even promote further to pro. But we're very lucky to be able to finish 6th and gain points this race. Initially it looks like we're doomed and we're going to finish 9th, so I'm happy with the results. You can see while our car didn't have the pace, we're not all that bad compared to Adriano, because the top 3 are so much faster than us and we won't be able to compete with them anytime soon. But if you look at compared to Adriano, we're only about 45 seconds slower, and we can gain that in the 1 or 2 races by upgrades and stuff. So it looks okay. If you look at our team ranking, we did okay. We were 15 seconds faster than Julian, but the problem with Julian is that he did 3 stops, not 2 stops. Otherwise he would potentially be quicker than us. The shocking part about the race results for our driver data is that he only made 1 mistake, even after we did aggressiveness training to go from 1 aggressiveness to 9, and we increased the clearance to 3. We're expecting our driver to not make mistakes even after we increased the aggressiveness, but potentially he still could make mistakes. I think it's good that I only made 1 mistake. I think we potentially gained a lot of time by increasing the aggressiveness, and we're going to do the ninja training again to increase the aggressiveness until he makes just less than one mistake, just less than 2 mistakes. And we're going to do a ninja training. And our aggressiveness is now 16. Also increase our concentration a bit for consistency. We're losing about 2 concentration every race and potentially 1 technical experience. Even with our driver losing stats every race because we're training him, that's why we have the top 4 best driver. Not exactly best driver, but the best overall, so the most stats. But the best driver is still up to the specific stats and combination. We don't have the best driver because we wanted to try something a little bit different. Because last season was so easy, we started mid-season and we came 5 for wins. So we tried to try someone with balanced stats, some of everything, with the technical insight and charisma. And these 2 really held us up because it provides little to no difference in performance and increases our overall a lot, and we're limited to overall. And less of the unimportant stats we have, the more of the important ones we can have. The sponsors negotiation needs attention, and it's from Geoelectronics. And where would the advertisement be placed on? We already have one on nose, engine cover and front wing. The rear wing is worth quite a bit of money, so we're gonna do rear wing. You can see in our group like 11 sponsors. Oh, I thought someone already got the sponsors before we did, but I just realized all of these people could have joined mid-season, so that's why the duration of the sponsor is 10 and not 3. So I was checking to see if others could have finished the negotiations first because we are doing 3 at once. I think what we want to do if we have to do rookie again is to just do 1 or 2 negotiations and get the money as quick as possible, and that will help a lot. The short-term boost in income would help, and they will make us generate even more income from finishing better. That will make the season easy. I was thinking that I wanted to downgrade some of the facilities to save on the facilities maintenance, because we weren't expecting fierce battle and high competitiveness. But saving another 300,000 or so every race, and we only have 11 races left, that's 1.5 to 2.5 million, that's not all that much. And we still have to do some testing in another 2 to 4 races to top up our car performance points from testing, because it drops every 3 to 5 races by 1 point. And it's most efficient to only test when you have 5 points to 7 points, but still okay if you test up to 13 points. But we have to upgrade car parts as priority to keep up, otherwise we're going to be doomed and we won't be able to promote at all. Currently we're about, if we look at the car wear for our car, we have to replace the suspension and engine, and the underbody and brakes are a bit higher wear, but we know from past races the calculated 2 normally shows slightly higher wear than the actual race, so it should be okay. Going to replace the engine and the suspension. You can see we gain a lot of car points. You can see that this race is supposed to be an oval track, and it's not all that dependent on the car points. And after we updated our car, we still don't have the fastest car now. So before last race we had the fastest car, and after it we don't have it anymore. But still quite fast, I think. our money management is looking very good, because if we compare to the people with the top points at 35, 32 million, and we're at 19 million, but we've done so much more testing laps than them. Well, actually we have 9 million, but our money management is still quite good. Sabria hasn't done qualifying yet, so that's why it's potential at 19 million. Sabria has done 200 testing laps and we did 270, but Sabria hasn't updated the car yet and potentially has to change parts, so our money standing is looking very good. We have the best staff and the most expensive staff. We have 15 staff over compared to Sabrina, who has only 9, and we have like similar money. So I think Sabrina doesn't have that much money because probably changing parts unnecessarily, or hasn't downgraded parts. Otherwise, as the driver has less stats with experience, so the parts will out quicker. And we're going to enter the car whip values into our calculator tool, because after you upgrade the parts, the wear reduces and the setup changes depending on wear. You can see for this race it has a 42 wear on our engine, so virtually consuming 1 engine only for this race. I mean, so our engine will only last 2 or 3 races, so it's relatively expensive. But the thing is, level 3 engine is only like 5 million compared to 6.2 with level 4. But with level 4 you can downgrade it by 1 level, so in reality it isn't all that expensive. And if it lasts an extra race, then you make all that money back, because every race you can delay spending money, you get another $6 million. You can see this race is rain, and it's virtually going to be rain for the entire time. So we don't have to use the calculator tool for the tire wear, because for rain tires it will last the entire race distance. But we have to do 1 stop, otherwise you have too high fuel load and it will be slow. We know there's 80 total laps and we want to have 3% more than the total laps. That means we're going to do 83 laps with 42 and 41 laps per stop. We entered the fuel required into our calculator tool. We're going to find the setup for this race. We've done the changes according to our calculator tool, and we're going to do another test lap. So we calculated the final setup and we're going to find the wing split. We found the wing split to be in between 45 and minus 15 or so, and the center is 14. We already entered that into our setup. You can see that these 2 lap times, 35.716 and 35.711, are virtually the same, so we know it's in between these 2 for the wing split. And we're going to do qualifying. We didn't qualify first because our driver made a huge mistake, about 0.8 seconds. Our Q1 time doesn't look all that good anymore this race because he made a huge mistake, and we're only top 200 out of 1200. We're only 3 seconds slower than the best manager, and from top 3 onward we're only 2 seconds slower, so that's already quite good. Note there's 80 laps and one lap takes 1 minute and 35 seconds. So the race is going to take over 2 hours, so we just need to take the average temperature of all these 4. We want to do 42 laps and then 41 laps, and we know it's 87 liters of fuel. I already entered that. I already entered the temperature difference between Q1 and Q2, which is 5, into our calculator tool. And we have to use this wet denotation for our setup, because the temperature change for each temperature change, the setup is different compared to wet and dry. You can see that we have these constants here, so the dry is 3.75 for every temperature difference and wet is only 0.9. I've already entered all of these calculated setup results into the game. Surprisingly, we qualified first place. Shockingly, we qualified top 33. And we're only 1.7 seconds slower than second place. I'm not expecting to get top 55 qualifying because we made a mistake in Q1 and our qualifying time didn't seem all that good. You can see that we're only 0.67 seconds faster than our best teammate, and not teammate but in our same group for Q2. That doesn't seem all that much. The combined time isn't all that much different. It's quite close. Because our Q2 time seems exceptionally good, I have to double check to see if I made any mistake for our fuel calculation. I don't think we did. I think the fuel is correct. We're going to give our driver fuel even if he has to potentially do an extra pit stop to prevent from like a few races ago. I think it was Istanbul, we had to do a pit stop in first lap because we accidentally had an accident and we broke our wing. We're going to make our driver use rain tires all the time because it's highly unlikely to rain more than a few laps. And then we're going to make him to not do anything if the weather change, to not pit for dry. And we're going to reduce the overtake risk a bit because in rain he's going to make more mistakes. Just going to make them boost only on the first 3 laps. Otherwise, if it suddenly weather changes and we boost, he's going to make a mistake. And our car weight is quite high, so we don't want to push it. Normally I reduce the risk by 5 points when it rains, but this time we want to be a bit more aggressive and only reduce by 2 points because we are struggling to keep up. Doesn't matter if we're consistent or not because our car is lacking performance and it's difficult to keep up, so we rather gamble a bit. We're also going to keep our low starting risk with this maintained position, otherwise we end up like Tomase. He already had 2 accidents at the start of the race this season, that's why he lost so many valuable points. We know the temperature difference between Q1 and the race is 7.4 degrees based on our calculation. We have entered these values into our calculator tool, and we just entered the value that we just calculated into for the race setup, and we got the final car setup values. We just entered that into our car setup, and I think we're finished for this race setup. You can see that our staff motivation hasn't changed. I think it was also 8 points last race, but if we actually finished 9th and others didn't make the mistake, so we can finish 5th, I think their motivation will drop even more, because overall our car is so slow and lacking in pace in the race. Even if we can qualify good and always P1. I have all of this high facility level and staff training because I'm not anticipating a difficult season, so I can just do a lot of testing in the car and get a lot of car points. So if I promote to amateur, I'll have a head start. With more car points, I can use lower level parts for the car and still have same performance, and that saves a lot of money. But unfortunately, this season is exceptionally difficult, so we have to change our plan like we said at the start of the video, to not do testing and just upgrade the car. Never noticed the max fuel is 180 liters, so I thought it was mandatory to do one stop. If we look at the calculator tool, we actually have enough tires to do 82 laps without pitting at all. But if suddenly weather changes to dry them, we won't have enough tire wear to make it to the end. I just entered these track characteristic values into our calculator tool, and we can see that it's approximately 1 for the track characteristics of our counting fuel, and we know that about 1.15, 1.25, 1 and 2 stops have similar pace. So based off these calculations, we would be faster if we did no pit stops at all, but there is some risk of it becoming dry for a lap of fuel, and if that happens, then that will ruin our entire strategy, and that would even happen if the rain probability is 90% or higher for the entire race. So we wanted to be on the safe side and do a 1 stop instead of doing 0 stops. You can see our teammate Ivan Galios is the closest to qualifying to our time, and our Q2 time is about 2 seconds quicker than him, but he's still much slower than us because he has a faster car than us with more points. You see why he's slower is if you look at his car level, it's balance type, so that's why he's slower. This track is mostly power based. You can see for this group, the top contenders have done some form of testing, and that is because from 0 testing to some testing you gain a lot of car points, and it's so effective. That's why the minimum amount is 100 testing for the first 5 to 7 races.